This is Summer Lynn from Chicago, Illinois. Just wanted to give a huge shout out to the Relay for all the love and support they've given my team and I. And make sure you stay tuned for all the latest boxing news.
Welcome to the motherfucking Relay. We're covering today's top boxing news. Ow!
Okay, we'll start with this. Well, it appears there has been an opponent change for Marlen Esparza, rather than Jackie Calvo, the same Jackie Calvo who pulled out of the Senicia Estrada fight, which resulted in the Miranda Atkins fight, the Miranda Atkins 7-second knockout. Rather than fighting Jackie Calvo, who pulled out on Senicia, it appears that Marlen Esparza is going to be fighting the very game Noemi Bosques. And I think it's safe to say that Noemi is a step down from Jackie Calvo.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing against Noemi Bosques, but, you know, the facts are the facts.
The record is upside down.
Noemi, God bless her, has more professional losses than she has professional victories on her resume. It's just the reality of it. That's just the truth. Talking about a professional record of 12 wins, 15 losses, with 3 draws. Noemi has lost to anyone from Mariana Juarez to her sister, Lourdes Juarez, lost 2 fights to Heather Hardy, lost to Sulem Urbina in her very last outing earlier this year.
In February.
She lost one to Bonita Fernandez, Rosalinda Rodriguez.
Kenya Enriquez.
Noemi's a Chinese woman. Call it what it is. Call a spade a spade. That's what Noemi is. She's a Chinese woman. And given her record, in retrospect with Jackie Calvo's record, yeah, you can say it's a step back, it's a step down.
I mean, God bless Noemi's courage.
God bless her fighting spirit. But if I'm going to be honest with you guys, and we're going to be honest with each other, that's the situation. Noemi is a Chinese woman. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's what's going on. This is a step back, a step down from Jackie Calvo.
So why the opponent change?
What happened between Marlen Esparza and Jackie Calvo that their fight isn't going to materialize?
What happened?
We see the kind of criticism that, you know, the people at Golden Boy, the people at DAZN, and Senicia Estrada to a lesser extent. We see the kind of criticism that the boxing fans and the pundits levied against the Miranda Atkins fight. It being that, you know, Miranda didn't belong in there with Senicia Estrada. And you wonder that they won't come to those same kind of conclusions, have those same kind of criticisms towards Marlen, Golden Boy once again, and DAZN when they take one good long look at Noemi Bosques' record.
Are they going to criticize this fight too?
I mean, they might. I noticed that a lot of people out there who don't normally discuss the sport of women's boxing, quite a few, who don't normally try to shed light on it, actually took time out to denigrate it on the premise of the Miranda Atkins fight. And I wonder that this fight, given Noemi's professional record, isn't going to yield the same response. That you're not going to have a whole bunch more people rushing to criticize the fight, the quality of the matchmaking, when they see how many fights Noemi's lost. It really makes me wonder what the hell happened with Jackie Calvo, because all things considered, I think most people would agree that would have been a more solid opponent whose record isn't upside down. Myself, I'm not in a rush to criticize anyone, at least not right now. I'm not in a rush to levy criticism because we are still in the middle of a global pandemic. In this situation, you work with what you've got, and sometimes that's not a lot, and it's not what you might want, but that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm not critical.
Think back to when I talked to Joe Estrada, Senicia's father. You know, he told me how many girls they tried to get before they finally settled on Miranda Atkins, that an earnest effort went into getting a decent opponent, but given the circumstances, they couldn't get one. And I understood then the way I kind of understand now why Marlen Esparza is going to be fighting Noemi Bosques. You know, maybe that was the best opponent they could conjure. Or maybe Marlen Esparza, because she's coming off a loss and hasn't had a fight since last November, wants to take a foot off the gas, ease back into activity. Maybe it's that. I'm not in a rush to criticize anybody trying to put on a fight in today's landscape because, well, these are extenuating circumstances. This ain't business as usual.
There's limited travel.
Very limited opponent options. So, all things considered, Esparza versus Bosques isn't the most intriguing matchup. In all likelihood, it's a fight that Marlen will win and win quite comfortably. I'll take it as a tune-up fight, a keep busy fight, shaking off the cobwebs fight, that kind of situation, that kind of matchup. That's my interpretation of it. I would have hoped to see Marlene against someone more formidable than Noemi. But then again, given that Marlene is coming off a loss, I was never expecting her to fight a top contender or a world titleist. I was never expecting that. I was never expecting that kind of situation to be Marlene Esparza's very next situation. So I'll just take this as Marlene's keeping busy. She's trying to get back in the swing of things. And things won't get interesting for Marlene until after this fight, which in all likelihood she's going to win. So, just keep your eyes peeled for the return of Marlene Esparza on the undercard of Jorge Linares versus Javier Fortuna later on this month.
So there was a tweet 6-7 hours ago from Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah, I sort of woke up to
A
that.
plea for the fight between Garcia and
I don't really understand
Campbell.
because I've made an offer to Ryan Garcia, which is a chunky offer, and they've turned it down, which is fine, and they've asked for more money than I want to pay. But they can make an offer as well. Like, we've both got a contract with DAZN. They can stage Garcia Campbell on their show, or we can. Actually, for us, it's outside of our original plan from September and December, so it's a bit more difficult, but we can do it, no problem. But I don't know what the message is behind that tweet, really.
Because it wasn't aimed at you.
No, I don't think it was a pop at me, but
No, not a pop, but it wasn't.
no, but if they want to make the fight so badly, they're more than welcome to make me an offer and Luke an offer for that fight. But I guess they want us to stage the show, which we're delighted to do because it's a fantastic fight. So purse bids are next week, I think. So we'll see where we get to.
Now, this interview is from last week, folks. This interview is from last week, and it's in reference to a tweet that Oscar De La Hoya made saying, make the fight.
Okay.
And, I have to agree with Eddie here. If you're so determined to make the fight, you can make it, I mean, it doesn't just have to be Matchroom. It doesn't all fall on Matchroom to make the situation happen. What about Golden Boy Promotions?
Yeah.
What about your ability to orchestrate the fight and bring over Luke to your side of things?
Why don't you just send a counter offer?
What's stopping you? I'll tell you what's stopping him. I'll tell you what it is.
What is it?
Ryan Garcia's best bet to get paid the way that he wants to get paid, because we know Ryan's had a lot of issues with his prices, at least under Golden Boy, at least on what cards they've attempted to stage for him. We see that Ryan hasn't always been very happy with the kind of money that Golden Boy has been putting up. Now, especially that we're in the middle of a global pandemic and a lot of fighters, they got to take a pay cut.
At least right now they do.
Ryan Garcia is among them, and this isn't something that Ryan is happy about. He's not alone. There's a lot of fighters that are averse to taking a pay cut. I mean, we see what's going on with Vasyl Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez. We saw Terrence Crawford's previous comments in reference to potentially taking a pay cut. Ryan's not alone in the sentiment of being averse to taking a pay cut.
And Golden Boy Promotions may not want to accommodate him.
Maybe from where they are sitting, it's more than they care to spend. It's more than they're willing to pay Ryan here and now. And it's for that reason they would rather that Matchroom hold the situation. So they're waiting to see what Matchroom can give them, what the people at Matchroom are willing to put up to have Ryan cross over to their side of things, instead of staging the fight themselves as a Golden Boy Promotions card under the Golden Boy Promotions banner. Maybe Golden Boy doesn't have it in the budget. Maybe they just don't want to spend that kind of money because they know what kind of money Ryan wants, and they know what kind of money it's going to take to get Luke to cross over to their side. In that situation, they tell themselves, you know what, Matchroom's got a pretty big budget. They got deep pockets. Let's see what they're willing to put up for our guy, Ryan Garcia. And if they're willing to put up the right money, we'll just let him fight under their banner for this fight. Because I'll tell you, the situation between Ryan and Golden Boy has been tumultuous throughout. It's been tumultuous, topsy-turvy for months. They're making up.
And they're having problems again.
They're back on good terms. They're not back on good terms. I mean, it's been this way for months.
It's been very unstable.
It's been shaky. And in a situation that's shaky, with that much instability, the fight itself's best bet of being made is if Matchroom is at the helm of promotions, is if Matchroom is the one flipping the bill to see the fight get done. Flipping the bill to ensure that Ryan is getting paid the way that he wants to be paid, and ensuring that Luke Campbell is being paid the way that he wants to be paid. Because if you want Eddie Hearn's guy to come over to you, you're going to have to at least pay him what Eddie Hearn would have paid him. And I'm not sure that Golden Boy is willing to do that. Golden Boy really is just the latest wallflower negotiating with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. I mean, I'm starting to notice a pattern here to where a lot of people are leaving it up to Eddie and his checkbook to ensure that a fight happens. I'm noticing this more and more frequently.
And it's annoying.
Because you can't leave it all up to him. DAZN gave you guys a budget the same way they gave Eddie, his guys, a budget. What you guys want to do is be the wallflower and leave it up to Eddie. Leave it up to Matchroom to ensure that the fight happens when, hey, wait a minute. Ryan Garcia, he's your guy. He's your potential superstar. You guys are invested in this kid, right?
Right.
So why don't you make sure the Campbell fight happens? It's not like he doesn't need that fight. He needs that fight. Those are the kind of fighters that he needs to start fighting here and now in his career. He's got, what, 20-something professional fights? 20? Something like that?
Just about.
Things are going to have to get serious at some point.
If you don't like the money, then send him a counteroffer.
What's stopping you? What's stopping Oscar, Ryan's people, from sending Eddie a counteroffer? What was stopping Gervonta Davis's people from sending Eddie a counteroffer for the Tevin Farmer fight?
That never happened.
Oh, $7-8 million? That's not enough money to get Gervonta Davis to cross the street. Okay, well, why don't you guys put up some money to have Tevin Farmer cross the street? And what do you guys put up? You guys end up putting up less money than Eddie was willing to put up for your guy. I mean, this is what's going on.
And it's annoying.
And you hide it from the horse's mouth. Eddie Hearn, the people at Matchroom, Ryan Garcia, they'd be happy to have him. They'd be happy to put the fight on themselves. But if Golden Boy isn't happy with the kind of money they're putting up, okay, well, why don't you put some money up of your own?
You've got to get that kid a fucking fight.
It's got to be a good fight. I'll tell you what. Because Eddie Hearn and Matchroom are involved, and because they're flexible, they want to get fights made. I mean, that much is obvious by now, regardless of who it's with. I'm still confident that the fight comes off, I am. Because if Golden Boy can't get this done on their own, they'll have no choice but to let Matchroom do it, regardless of what Matchroom is offering. That better you have Ryan go over there for whatever it is they're offering than put the money up yourself, because you clearly don't want to. So I'm still confident that this fight happens. And finally, further details emerge from Paulie Malignaggi and Showtime split. Showtime reportedly asked Malignaggi to make an official apology. After he refused, that's when Showtime reacted. The far more controversial portion of the 39-year-old's views went like this. I try not to join in conversations. This is one of the exact examples of why I don't believe there is oppression in 2020 or in this century, revealed Malignaggi. I believe there has been, sure, but I don't believe there is oppression today. I believe it's all made up.
Okay.
I believe that it is exaggerated. This is exactly one of the reasons why. The fact that a fighter can say that, not pay any price financially, but if a fighter said that about any at all, he'd probably lose his TV contract. Oh, you mean like you just did? And probably TV networks wouldn't touch him, you know? I won't tell you that it's a double standard, but I'll tell you that it does prove that entire whole hypothesis of oppression is way above and exaggerated in this century, you know? I don't think this century has given us anything aside from any situations people want to nitpick, you know? Those statements give a clearer indication of where Showtime is coming from, despite questions from fans about why Malignaggi was let go. It's now a question of who takes his place in the Showtime spotlight. Also, whether Skysports in the UK will act in a similar way. Skysports also employ Malignaggi for their transatlantic events. Head of boxing, Adam Smith, even mentioned Malignaggi 3 times in Saturday night's broadcast from Eddie Hearn's Garden. Smith did not comment on Showtime's actions. He merely gave a shout-out to Malignaggi during Sam Eggington versus Ted Cheeseman. It remains to be seen where Paulie Malignaggi goes from here. The former 2-weight title holder is yet to release any statement.
If he knows what's good for him, he better measure his words.
That is, for what remains of his analyst career moving forward, now that he's really no longer with Showtime. I mean, he's still under contract, but they're not going to have him doing any commentating, so no likelihood that's going to be the situation until that contract is up, which severely hinders his ability to do any commentating on this side of the Atlantic Ocean. But the same cannot be said across the pond. Across the pond, it's possible that Paulie Malignaggi could still do the commentating for Sky Sports.
Adam Smith didn't shout him out 3 times for no reason.
I'm of the opinion that if Adam Smith made it a point to mention Paulie Malignaggi's name 3 times in the Sky Sports broadcast this past weekend, it's because he's letting that guy know he's still got a job. And Adam, unlike Showtime, isn't going to oust him. Adam hasn't forgotten about Paulie, and I think that he's letting Paulie know that.
Maybe he's still got a job there.
And maybe the people over there at Sky Sports, Adam Smith in particular, isn't going to take the course of action that Showtime took.
Maybe not.
Is what Paulie Malignaggi said so controversial that he has effectively become a social pariah, that nobody, and I mean nobody, is going to touch this guy? Was what he said so far out there that he has effectively committed career suicide? How do you guys feel about it? Do you agree with what Paulie Malignaggi said, or do you disagree with it? I'll tell you the truth.
It doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter if you do or don't. It doesn't matter if I agree with it or I disagree with it. It really doesn't matter, because it's a taboo enough subject that you have to be careful when and where you broach it. And that's been my point throughout, that sometimes it's better to say nothing at all
than talking just because you got a mouth.
No major company, no major TV outlet wants to be associated with controversial views. Any hint of controversy is going to make the higher-ups recoil and disassociate themselves from said controversy, from said controversial statements. In this situation, Paulie Malignaggi's statements. You can ask if the statements themselves are really all that controversial, but I'll tell you what, you're not the one that employs Paulie Malignaggi.
He doesn't work for you.
You're not a major cable network attempting to appeal to a broad demographic of individuals, some of which might be offended with what Paulie Malignaggi said.
And the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Showtime Boxing doesn't want to be on the receiving end of this outrage and cancel culture we've been seeing as of late. Showtime wants to do everything it can to keep things business as usual. So if they've got to can Paulie to do it, that's what they're going to do. And you don't have to like it, but you don't have the power to change it either.
It's not up to you.
It's not your decision to make, and it's not your premium cable network's reputation that's on the line. It's very easy to sit behind a keyboard typing what you think and what your opinion is and what they should have done when you're not the one gambling anything. I mean, even the way I'm delivering this story to you is so affected by today's outrage and cancel culture. What do you think, that those censor beeps, they put themselves there? No, I put them there, because I know how sensitive a subject this is. And while I still have my freedom of speech, it's not my freedom of speech that's on the line. It's my ability to make money.
And the same applies to Paulie.
You can still say what you want to say, and your employer, as a result of what you say, can do what they want to do. It's a free country, and that works both ways.